Good morning, students. Hope you all are doing well and are safe at home and spending a fruitful time with your family. Today, we'll be studying lesson number 3 from your main course book, First Flight. The title of the lesson is Two Stories About Flying. Now, this lesson has been divided into two parts. Part 1, His First Flight. Part 2, Black Aeroplane. Today, we'll be studying part 1, His First Flight by Liane O'Flaherty. Before we start, let me give you a short introduction and explanation of the lesson, His First Flight. Now, who is his over here in the lesson? His is the young Seagull. His is the young seagull. So this is a story about a young seagull, a timid young seagull who was too afraid to fly. Now, why was the young seagull afraid to fly? Because he thought that if he flies, his wings will not be able to support him and he might fall and get hurt, or he may even drown in the sea. Alright. Now, we also see that his family, that is his father, mother, two brothers and sister, they assist him, they help him to overcome his fear. And we'll also read in this lesson that how he overcomes the hurdles, the hindrances because he was afraid of flying. Now, let's read the lesson and I'll give you the explanation. Children, as you are not here, I'll be reading the lesson and explaining it to you. Lesson number 3, Two Stories About Flying. Part 1, His First Flight. The young seagull was alone on his ledge. What is the meaning of a ledge? A narrow horizontal shelf projecting from a wall. In this case, a cliff. So, this is a cliff, a horizontal wall was there where he would sit. His two brothers and his sister had already flown away the day before. He had been afraid to fly with them. Somehow, when he had taken a little run forward to the brink of the ledge and attempted to flap his wings, he became afraid. Brink over here is edge. I repeat, brink means edge. I hope, children, you are writing the meanings. Do write the meanings for your future reference. Now we see that the brothers and sisters have they have already flown away, and this young seagull, though he attempted to fly, but he was too afraid to plunge or dive and take off. The great expanse of sea stretched down beneath, and it was such a long way down, miles down. So he must have thought, what if I fly, and if I am not able to fly, unable to fly, I'll fall down into the sea and I may get hurt, or I may even drown and die. That is why he wasn't able to muster up enough confidence and courage to fly, though he knows that his brothers and sisters have already flown away. He felt certain that his wings would never support him. So he had already made up his mind, I will not be able to fly, my wings will not be able to support me. So he bent his head and ran away back to the little hole under the ledge where he slept at night. So these lines, they tell us that how disappointed, disheartened the young seagull is. Alright, he wants to fly, but he is too afraid to fly. He knows he cannot fly. He knows that his siblings have flown away. They are learning, they are mastering the art of flying, they are catching fish, but he, on the other hand, is too afraid to fly. So Where does he go? He goes back to the little hole under the ledge where he slept at night. This shows his disappointment, his disheartened, he's sad. Even when each of his brothers and his little sister, whose wings were far shorter than his own, ran to the brink, flapped their wings and flew away, he failed to muster up courage to take that plunge which appeared to him so desperate. Even when he saw his brothers and sisters flying away, he could not muster up courage. Muster up courage means gather. Again, muster up means gather. So he wasn't able to gather enough courage to take that plunge. Plunge over here means dive, which appeared to him so desperate. So he was extremely afraid of flying. It's not that he didn't want to, he wanted, but somehow he was afraid and he had already made up his mind that I know I cannot fly. His father and mother had come around, calling to him shrilly, upbraiding him, threatening to let him starve on the ledge unless he flew away. So his parents, they came, upbraiding over here means scolding. Upbraiding means scolding. So his parents came, they called him, they scolded him, they even threatened him. So they tried all kinds of techniques so that the bird could fly. Now if you see, they threatened the child to, they threatened him that they'll leave him to starve, they'll leave him alone. That doesn't mean that the parents did not love the child. The parents loved this young seagull, but they are threatening him, they are scolding him. Why? Because they want him to fly. Okay, it is for his benefit, his well-being. Why? Because if he flies, he'll be independent, he'll learn how to catch his food, so on and so forth. That is why the parents were threatening him, scolding him, for his own benefit. Threatening to let him starve on his ledge unless he flew away. But for the life of him, he could not move. But he was too scared to move, too scared to fly. He did not pay attention to his parents' words. He did not pay heed to their advice, to their calling, to their threatening. He was so scared. That was 24 hours ago. Since then, nobody had come near him. So the threatening, the calling was 24 hours ago. Now they have left him on his own. They have left him alone. Why are they doing so? Because they want him to fly. So they must have planned that we'll totally ignore him. Nobody had come near him. The day before, all day long, he had watched his parents flying about with his brothers and sister, perfecting them in the art of flight, teaching them how to skim the waves and how to dive for fish. Now see, they are all ignoring him. He's on the ledge of the cliff and he's seeing everything that the parents are doing with the siblings. Alright, they are teaching his brothers and sisters to fly. They are helping, the parents are helping the brothers and sisters to perfect the art of flying. They are also teaching them how to skim. Skim is like, this is the surface and you move slightly above the surface. Alright, over here the surface is the sea. Now they are skimming. Alright, the birds are skimming. When they see a fish, they would dive, catch the fish and then fly away. I hope this word is clear, skim. The day before, all day long, he had watched his parents flying about with his brothers and sister, perfecting them in the art of flight, teaching them how to skim the waves and how to dive for fish. He had, in fact, seen his older brother catch his first herring and devour it. Herring is a fish, alright, over here it's a fish. Devour means to eat up greedily. Devour, eat up greedily. Do write the meanings, children. So he saw his older brother fly, skim, dive, catch a fish, sit on a rock, the elder brother sat on the rock and he ate or devoured the fish. Standing on a rock while his parents circled around raising a proud cackle. Now the parents are proud parents. Why are they proud? Because the older brother the older son had already learned how to fly and catch food for himself. So they were very happy for their older son. And all the morning the whole family had walked about on the big plateau. Midway down the opposite cliff, taunting him with his cowardice. So they are on this plateau, the cliff is this side, and they are taunting the little young seagull. Why are they taunting him? Because they want him, actually they are not demotivating him or they are not making fun of him, but they want him to fly. So that is why they are taunting him. They are saying, perhaps they are saying, see, look at us, we have learned how to fly, but look at you, you are not even taking initiative to fly. The sun was now ascending the sky, ascending to go up. The sun was going up. Blazing on his ledge that faced the south. Blazing, burning. Blazing means burning. So the sun was hot. He felt the heat because he had not eaten since the previous nightfall. He felt the heat. Why? He felt the scorching heat of the sun. Why? Because his stomach was empty and he was extremely hungry. Okay? So he could feel the heat, the scorching heat of the sun. He stepped slowly out to the brink of the ledge and standing on one leg with the other leg hidden under his wings, he closed one eye, then the other. All right. Now he says he understands that everyone is ignoring him. Nobody is there to take care of him. So he comes to the edge of the ledge and he stands on one leg, hides one leg under his feather. He closes his eyes and then he pretends to sleep. Then the other, and pretended to be falling asleep. Still, they took no notice of him. They completely ignored the young seagull. He saw his two brothers and his sister lying on the plateau, dozing with their heads sunk into their necks. So the brothers and sister, they are dozing. Why? Perhaps their stomach is full and they were tired of flying. So now they are dozing. His father was preening the feathers on his white back. Preening means grooming. Means grooming or pricking feathers. You must have seen birds pricking their feathers to tidy them up. Alright, so that is what the father was doing. He was grooming the feathers. Only his mother was looking at him. Nobody is looking at him. Nobody was looking at him. The brothers and sisters, the sister were fast asleep. The father was busy grooming his feathers. Nobody was noticing him. Nobody was looking at him. It was only the mother who was looking at him. Only the mother was looking at him. She was standing on a little high hump on the plateau, her white breast thrust forward. Now and again, she tore at a piece of fish that lay at her feet and then scraped each side of a beak on the rock. Scraped means rubbed. Why was she scraping each side of a beak? This is how the birds, they sharpen their beak. So this is how the mother seagull was sharpening her beak. Now what is she doing? She made sure that the little seagull looks at her. Okay. Now she tears at the fish. She puts the piece of fish at her feet and then she scrapes her beak to sharpen it. She knows that the young seagull is hungry. Now, this is a technique, another technique that the mother is using for the seagull to motivate the seagull to fly. Now, let's see. Now and again she tore at a piece of fish that lay at her feet and then scraped each side of a beak on the rock. The sight of the food maddened him. How he loved to tear food that way, scraping his beak now and again to whet it to sharpen it. So he is famished, he is extremely hungry. Another word you can use is famished. So the young seagull is famished, alright, and he says, oh, how I wish I could tear the food the same way as my mother is doing. How I wish I could scrape my beak and sharpen it. How I wish I could get that food. Gaga, ga. He cried, begging her to bring him some food. So now the little seagull, the young seagull is famished, hungry, tired, and he wants food. So he calls to his mother and begs his mother to bring food. He calls to his mother and begs the mother to bring him some food. Gao kola, she screamed back. Derisively. Derisively means mockingly. Again, derisively means mockingly. So the seagull, the young seagull calls to his mother. He says, Mama, please give me some food. But the mother calls back to him mockingly that you do nothing. Why should I bring food to you? But he kept calling plaintively. Plaintively means sorrowfully. But he kept on calling to his mother sorrowfully. Why sorrowfully? He is hungry. He knows he cannot fly. That is what he thinks, right? He thinks that he cannot fly. There is no way that he can get food. His only hope is his mother. So very sorrowfully, in a sad manner, he is calling his mother to please give him some food because he is famished. He is very hungry. And after a minute or so, he uttered a joyful scream. His mother had picked up a piece of fish and was flying across to him with it. Now, after calling his mother sorrowfully, plaintively, he saw his mother pick up a piece of fish. The moment he saw his mother pick up a piece of fish, he became happy, he became delighted. He knew that his mother would come and feed him. So he gave a joyful scream. His mother had picked up a piece of the fish and was flying across to him with it. He leaned out eagerly, tapping the rock with his feet, trying to get nearer to her as she flew across. Now the young seagull is trying to come closer to his mother, and the mother is coming closer to the child. Now let's see what happens. But when she was just opposite to him, she halted. She did not come to the young seagull. She was close enough and then she halted in midair, all right? Her wings motionless. The piece of fish in a beak almost within reach of his beak. His over here is the young seagull. So the fish was just within the reach of the young seagull's reach, but still the mother was not giving him the piece of fish, all right? He waited a moment in surprise. He's perplexed, he's confused. Mother is here, why isn't she giving me food? She waited a moment in surprise, wondering why she did not come nearer, and then, maddened by hunger, he dived at the fish. Now he was hungry and he was famished, and that was the only way to get the fish, the piece of fish in his mother's beak, and he dived at the fish. With a loud scream, he fell outwards and downwards into space. Now he is famished, He dives at the food which is in his mother's beak, and then he starts to fall down. Then a monstrous terror seized him, and his heart stood still. He could hear nothing. Now he is terrified. Actually, he is petrified. He is petrified. Why? Because he is falling down. He doesn't know how to fly. So he thinks that he may get hurt and he may drown in the sea. But it only lasted for a minute or so. The feeling of fear only lasted for a minute or so. Why? Because it is a bird. This young seagull is a bird, and when it started to fall down, it could feel the wind on his feathers, on his wings, and he started to flap his wings. Why? Because, as I said, he is a bird. His natural instinct kicked in. Alright? Monstrous terror seized him and his heart stood still. He could hear nothing, but it only lasted a minute. The next moment he felt his wings spread outwards. The wind rushed against his breast feathers, then under his stomach and against his wings. He could feel the tips of his wings cutting through the air. He was not falling headlong now. He was soaring gradually. He was flying gradually, downwards and outwards. He was no longer afraid. Why he was no longer afraid? Because he knew he would be able to fly. The fear, he was able to overcome his fear, and the fear was, confidence took over his fear. Confidence was replaced by fear. He just felt a bit dizzy. Why did he feel a little bit dizzy? See, because he was hungry and he was afraid while he was falling. So he felt a little bit dizzy. What is the meaning of dizzy? We have used this word many a times. What is the meaning of dizzy? Dizzy means that, when you feel uncomfortable and your head starts to spin. Things around you starts to spin. Not your head, the things around you starts to spin. You feel that way. Then he flapped his wings once and he soared upwards. Gaga, gaga, gaga. Gao lock arch. His mother whooped past him, her wings making a loud sound because of the flapping. He answered her with another scream. Now mother is happy. She is encouraging the young seagull to fly, to flap his wings. Then his father flew over him screaming. He saw his two brothers and his sister flying around him, curveting and banking and snoring and soaring and diving. So his entire family is with him now. Alright, they are all happy, they are all delighted to see him fly, and they are all encouraging him to fly. This is what a family does, they all encourage. Then he completely forgot that he had not always been able to fly, and commended himself to dive and soar and curve, shrieking shrilly. Shrilly means sharply and piercingly, okay, a very shrill voice. So now as he had started to fly, he completely forgot the time when he was not able to fly, the time when he was afraid to fly. Why? Because now he is flying, he is happy to fly, and he congratulated himself on flying. He was near the sea now, flying straight over it, facing straight out over the ocean. He saw a vast green sea beneath him, with little ridges, ripples, disturbance in water, those are ridges. Moving over it, and he turned his beak sideways and cawed amusedly. These lines, they tell us that he is so happy, he is so amused to fly. Why? Because now he He's filled with a sense of freedom. He's no longer afraid of flying. He's happy. He's excited to fly. So when he flies over the green sea, over the waters, all right, he is happy. He's amused while he was flying on the waters, over the waters, while he was flying over the waters. His parents and his brothers and sister had landed on this green flooring ahead of him. Green flooring refers to the sea waters. They were beckoning to him, signaling him, calling him, gesturing him. They were beckoning to him, calling shrilly. He dropped his legs to stand on the green sea. So he dropped his legs. He thought that he would be in a position to stand on the waters. But the moment he dropped his legs on the green sea, his legs started to sink. And then he got afraid, he got scared. His legs sank into it. He screamed with fright and attempted to rise again, flapping his wings. Now he is scared. He thought that he would drown in the waters, and then he began to scream and tried to fly, but he was too tired. All right. Why was he tired? Because he had taken his first flight, and on top of it he was also hungry. He was famished. Rise again, flapping his wings, but he was tired and weak with hunger, and he could not rise, exhausted. Now, what is the meaning of exhausted? We have used this word many times. What is the meaning of exhausted? Yes, exhausted means tired. And he could not rise, exhausted by the strange exercise. Strange exercise means flying. Okay, so he was flying. That was strange exercise for him, and because of that he was exhausted. He was tired. His feet sank into the green sea, and then his belly touched it. Belly is your stomach, all right? Touched it. It over here is water, sea water. And he sank no further. He was floating on it, and around him his family was screaming, praising him, and their beaks were offering him scraps of dogfish. So he did not sink, he floated on the waters. Now his family was celebrating his first flight. How were they celebrating? They were screaming, they were praising him, they were happy for him, and they were offering him food, and he really needed food. He had made his first flight. So this is how he made his first flight. He was able to overcome his fear, his obstacles, his hindrances, and his parents, his brothers and sisters were the ones who helped him to conquer his fear for flying. All right. Now this is the end of the lesson, children. Hope you have written all the meanings of difficult words. Now, what is the message that we get from this lesson? The message that the author is trying to convey through this lesson is that success doesn't come instantly. No one will serve you success on a platter, on a silver platter. Say, this is for you. Now you will become successful. No, you have to work hard. All right, to be something in life, to be successful, you really have to work hard. You'll have to make errors, blunders, mistakes, because if you make errors, if you make mistakes, only then you will learn. So that this is the things that I'm supposed to do, and these things are not supposed to be to be touched or not to be done. All right. So for success you have to work hard, you have to go through trials, you have to make mistakes. Only then you will get success. And it is good to go through trials, and it is good to go through do mistakes and go through hardships, because then we become confident, we become strong, and then we know the importance of our success. When we reach a goal, we know how important it was for us. The goal was how important for us, and what price did we pay for this to reach to this particular goal. Another message that we can derive from this lesson is family bond. Now, family members are the ones who are always there for us, who stand with us in our difficult times, who stand with us in our thick and thin ups and downs, and they are the ones who always encourage us. All right, they are the ones, especially the parents, they are the ones who explain things to us. They explain the merits and the demerits of certain things, and they help us to take decisions. All right, they love us, they guide us. All right, they protect us. They may scold us, they may discipline us, they may get angry, but that doesn't mean that they do not love us. They love us, and for our benefit they are scolding us and they are giving us advice. All right, so let's come on to the question and answers. Thinking about the text, why was the young seagull afraid to fly? The young seagull was afraid to fly because because he thought that what if he falls and gets hurt? And yes, the first flight was challenging for him. Do you think all young birds are afraid to make their first flight, or are some birds more timid than others? Do you think a human baby also finds it a challenge to take its first steps? Yes, first step, or when we start something new, it is always challenging. The sight of the food maddened him. What does this suggest? The sight of the food maddened him. This suggests that the young seagull was extremely hungry. What compelled the young seagull to finally fly? What compelled him? When he saw his mother with the food in her beak, but she was not coming closer to the seagull. All right, she just halted in midair and waited for the seagull to take a dive, take a plunge, and that hunger compelled the seagull to finally fly. They were beckoning to him, calling shrilly. Why did the seagull's father and mother threaten him and cajole him to fly, coax him, all right, to fly? Why did they do so? Because they wanted him to fly, not for them, but for the benefit of the young seagull, so that he becomes independent, he learns how to fly, he masters the art of flying, and then he could find his own food. All right. A quick recap. After a quick recap, I'll write down a few difficult words and how are those their meanings and how the words are used in sentences. Now, this is a story about a young seagull, and he was adamant, he was stubborn, because he was afraid that he was afraid of flying. He thought that his wings would never support him off while he was flying. So he was afraid. All right, he was stubborn in one way. Why? Because his parents kept on encouraging him, kept on calling him, threatening him, but still he did not budge from his place. He saw his two brothers and sister fly away. He saw his older brother catch fish, but still he could not muster up. Muster up means gather. Muster up courage to fly. The parents and two brothers and sister, they planned to totally ignore him. All right. Both the brothers and sister were fast asleep. Father was grooming his feathers, and the mother was the only one who was looking at the young seagull. Now, she was eating a piece of fish. All right. She tore a piece of fish and put it, and she kept that piece of fish aside. Now, she knew that the seagull was extremely hungry. The seagull was famished. So, and the seagull also begged his mother to bring him some food. Now, the mother seagull, she flies to the young seagull with food in her beak, but she doesn't come close to the young seagull. She halts means stops in mid-air, and the little young seagull is perplexed as to why my mother is not coming to feed me. He dives at the food. The moment he dives, he starts to fall. When he starts to fall, he's scared. He's afraid. What will happen to him? What if he falls and he gets hurt? But he's a bird, and the bird's natural instincts kicks in him, and he starts to fly. The family is around him, they are happy for him, and they are all encouraging him to fly. And they all settle on the waters, sea waters, and they celebrate his first flight. How do they celebrate it? They celebrate his first flight by screaming, congratulating him, by giving him pieces of dog fish. Alright, so we come to know about success. Success can be attained by trials, errors, alright, and by working hard. And family is also very important for every one of us. Now let's come to the important word meanings and how they are used in sentences. The first word is blazing. Blazing means burning. How is it used in the sentence? Blazing, burning. How is it used in a sentence? A worker hammered iron sheets under the blazing sun. Alright. Now the next word is beckoned. Beckoned means signaling. How is it used in a sentence? She beckoned to the waiter to come over. Now the second word is beckoned, that is signaling. And how is it used? She beckoned to the waiter to come over. Now the third word is devour. To eat greedily. Devour, to eat greedily. How is it used in a sentence? The lions devoured their prey. I repeat, devour, to eat greedily. How is it used in a sentence? The lions devoured their prey. The next word is plunge. Plunge means to dive. Plunge, dive. Tom plunged into the water and swam to the other side. Next word, plaintively. Plaintively means sorrowfully. Again, plaintively means sorrowfully. The cat cried plaintively as it was cold and hungry. The last word, derisively, mockingly. Derisively means mockingly. The bullies laughed derisively at the boy. So these were a few difficult words, their meanings along with their sentences. I hope this session was fruitful and you would benefit this lesson. Children, please go through the lesson thoroughly, and then the question and answers that we discussed, try to write those answers in your own words, but it is mandatory for all of you to read the lesson thoroughly. Thank you, children. Stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you.